Now, Paul writes in Romans 11, they, speaking of the Jews, are beloved because of the patriarch. For the gift and the call of God is irrevocable. A book I encourage you to read is called The Sword of Constantine by James Carroll. The author relates the story of how anti-Semitism, how Christians and especially Catholics inflicted horrendous persecution and death on Jews through the centuries. Some of the scriptural justification for these terrible acts came from the Gospel of John, where Jesus is quoted as saying negative things about Jews. Listen to this from John chapter 8. Why do you, Jews, not understand what I am saying? Because you cannot bear to hear my word. You belong to your father, the devil, and you willingly carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he speaks in character, because he is a liar and the father of lies. But because he speaks the truth, you do not believe me. Well, to try to stop the flood of anti-Semitism that comes from these words of Jesus, let me quote a Catholic scripture scholar. His name is Father Raymond Brown. He writes, I have contended that a good part of the relations between Jesus and the Jews described today in today's gospel goes beyond what actually happened during Jesus' lifetime. Rather, to a considerable degree, the description reflects what happened to the Johannine Christians in their interaction with the synagogue authorities. For example, they faced charges that they were making Jesus equal to God, and thus they were introducing another God alongside the God of Israel. They were put on trial before the authorities and other opponents in the synagogue. They marshaled arguments from the scripture and the Jew and the Jesus tradition to answer the authorities. They were expelled from the synagogue and reacted in alienating hostility towards their former co-religionists. This highlights the need to read the inspired scripture with an eye on the historical situations that color the words of the writers. And today's reading from Romans affirms God's unrelenting love of the Jews and our obligation as followers of Jesus to honor and be enriched by his people. Oh Lord, help me to turn away from any anti-Semitism in my thoughts, words, and actions.